Welcome to the Author and Speaker Podcast. And tonight, what we're going to talk about is a topic that I've gotten a lot of questions about. What about domain names? So one thing for sure that most authors and speakers don't know, and I get this question all the time, is what should their domain name be? A lot of times people use these crazy domain names like searchinginthewind.com or tryingtofindyourvoice.com or johnsmithconsultingbusiness.com, when what you need to do is keep it simple and keep the brand the brand. What do I mean by the brand the brand? If your name's John Smith, certainly you need to have a domain name, John Smith Book, johnsmithspeaker.com. You have to get the domain name for your name. However, you should also acquire the domain name for your book. So if your book is titled 7 Leadership Principles, then get the domain name 7 Leadership Principles. This is where a lot of authors miss the opportunity to promote their book when they're on stage, when they're doing podcasts like this, or when they're on social media. So if you get your domain name for your book, then when you're on stage speaking, what you can do is you can talk about your book. Chances are the audience will have your book. Either the book is placed under the seat when you speak and it's free, or they've bought the book and there's a long autograph line and they know you and love you because they heard you speak, they want to buy your book, and then they know the book title, they go to your website, and then the information on what's next and how to build a relationship with them, more importantly, because you want to build a relationship with your audience, is all there, and you can control the content. So that's a fantastic thing to do. You can also have a group link on your website where you can pop them into a Facebook group, and then you've got a captive audience forever. So please, authors and speakers, go out right now, run to GoDaddy.com and get your own name if you haven't. Also, parents, get your kids' names. I had my son's names from the day they were born, before they were born probably. I had my son's names locked down on a domain. It's a great thing to do if you've got a student athlete. It's a great thing to do to protect your brand. Just trust me as an intellectual property expert. It's a great thing to do, period, because there have been people that have stolen someone's identity before. Perfect example, I have an author client. He's a doctor. Somebody with the exact same name copied his business identically, went to jail, his competitor, but had the exact same name. So the criminal doctor had the exact same name and went to jail. But what happened in the identity theft situation was that my client trademarked his name and created a domain with his name. So these are things that people don't think about. Why should you create a domain with your name? Well, intellectual property is really, really critical, and it's going to get even more critical. If you've ever been an author and a speaker, then you understand that people can do some crazy things. My domain name was hijacked, tammykling.com, and it was created into some website from China. I had, I had a professional website company, a $10,000 website company for 12 years, and my domain still got hijacked. So what can you do about that? Well, you can add extra layers of security, but despite the domain name getting hijacked, I just created more domain names. So tammyklingauthor.com, tammyklingspeaker.com. Do that. You do want to own your own identity. Now, it may seem like you don't need to worry about owning your own identity because you have a birth certificate, but we live in a digital age. So you really do have to own your identity. Why would I recommend that you have your name, your kids' names, your spouse's names? You should own the domain name of your children. For instance, when they go to college, you're going to fill out an application. If they're in sports, they're going to have a digital profile. If they're being drafted for any sport or recruited for college for a scholarship, everyone will always be Googling you your entire life. Unless you're not going to work and you just want to be completely off the grid, out of social media, which would be great, then people will be Googling you and your children your entire life. So think through that. Secondly, I get this question a lot. How do I sell domain names? So let's say you have a great idea. Let's say you live in San Francisco and you see all these hot dog stands on the street, but they're all different brands, they're all different qualities. Some are bad, some are good, some are, owners that don't have a lot of hygiene, some are owners that make great Italian dogs. You have all these hot dogs on the street, and they're all branded under different names. But let's say you decided to get all the hot dog carts together under one brand, and you're going to build a company with 5 hot dog carts, and you're going to build the best hot dog cart in San Francisco, and you decide to buy the domain sanfranciscohotdogs.com. So that's a business idea that you have, right? It's no different than if you lived in Texas and you decided to create an Airbnb brand called universityairbnb.com, and you decided to buy Airbnbs and put them in all these college towns. So there you have a business idea. There you have a domain name. Buy the domain name for the businesses that you want to create. When you have a business idea, buy the domain name if it makes sense. Most of the time, it's under $15. Sometimes it's $1. Depends on the domain. Get the .com and then place it for sale. So how do you place a domain for sale? One of the things you can do is build a web page if it's a fabulous idea. In the case of the Airbnb or San Francisco hot dogs, you would build a simple GoDaddy website. It would cost you like less than $10. And then you build a web page for this fictional business to give people the business idea. It could be any business idea. If you're an entrepreneur, you know you've got more ideas than you have time and energy. So create your domain, create your web page, and then you click a button on GoDaddy once your page is up, or once you've decided to sell the domain even. You don't even have to have a web page, but once you've decided to sell the domain, you click on Sell This Domain. Now, GoDaddy will ask you, for what price do you wish to sell it for? I have sold domains for thousands of dollars. You can sell your domain for anything from $10 to $10,000. You can sell it for $20,000. I know someone who sold Success.com for $1 million. So Success Magazine, Stuart Johnson bought that domain from someone else, Success.com. You can get domains and sell them and do really well. Now, why do I recommend building a web page? If you want to enhance the idea, if you want to enhance the sales factor and the value of the domain, you have to give people a vision of what that domain might be. So domains that actually have websites attached to them, or even a simple sales web page, do a lot better on Afternic, Internet. They sell a lot better. And that's the vendor that GoDaddy goes through to sell your domain. They will charge you a fee, a percentage of the sale, but that's okay, right? You're still earning money on the sale of your domain, so price it accordingly. So one of the things you can do is go and think about the domains that you would want to start a business. It could be anything local. It could be a real estate business, a house business. It could be a coffee shop. Anything that you want, create the domain, and then you can sell it right there on GoDaddy. They will instantly deposit that money into your account. Now, I sold a domain called the World Changers Network, and that was a .com. And what happened was, when they came to me, they asked me to negotiate on the domain. So you might have a set value, let's say $10,000, but somebody doesn't want to pay $10,000. They're going to negotiate. So you can negotiate, because GoDaddy will reach out to you, they'll call you, they'll send you an email, and they'll say, hey, somebody wants to buy your domain. And that is a great way to make extra income. It's a great side hustle for those of you who are gifted with that gift of marketing. So right now, for instance, I have a really meaningful domain for sale. It's called letterstomydaughter.com, and I have letterstomydaughters.com. Now, I don't have any daughters, but this is a domain for people who want to write letters to their daughters. So let's say that something happens to you, you die, and you want to leave a legacy, right? How are you going to leave that legacy? Well, a lot of people will create a website and they will just register it for a decade or two so that it's always out there on the internet. And then it's a digital space that can't be taken down by Meta, by Insta, by anyone. It is your owned website. So Letters to My Daughter will be a place where somebody can write letters online for their daughters to read long after they're gone. So this is just one way that you can create digital assets, and you can sell digital assets, and you can have all of these digital assets out there and really leverage the internet. I hope this has helped. This podcast is for speakers and authors. Thanks for putting up with my voice tonight. I've got a little cough, but we had a great time with a lot of valuable information on how to monetize your story, your words, and your marketing genius.